Sometimes life feels full, overflowing with possibilities, ideas, and choices. And sometimes it feels a little too full, like there's more noise than space to breathe, think, or create. Have you ever felt this way? Like the more you have, the harder it is to choose. In my creative practice, this began to feel like a weight I couldn't quite name. It wasn't about having too many things, but about having too many choices. And with those choices, a sort of paralysis, the inability to pick, to start, to breathe freely came along. For the past few months, I've found myself reaching for more space, not necessarily more things, but more breadth, more room to stretch, to think, to create. And how do you make space when the walls remain the same? You don't always move, sometimes you stay. You stay and you empty, much like meditation, where the world around hums as it always does, yet you quietly peel away the noise until only stillness remains. That same intention found its way into my creative practice. I began simply by journaling, listing the colors my hand reached for the most, the ones that felt like home. I leafed through my sketchbooks, sifted through months of paintings, tracing the colors that told my story. A pattern started to emerge, soft but steady. I already knew I wanted to pare things down, not to deprive, but to deepen. I swatched all the paints in my collection a couple of months ago. This collection of colors has grown over time through generous gifts from brand collaborations, thoughtful exchange with friends, and of course, the ones I lovingly chose and collected over the years. I recognize what a privilege it is to have such a wide array of paints at my fingertips. But my humble experience has also shown me something important. More often means more distraction and less clarity. This time, as I revisited my paints, I saw it clearly. I didn't need them all. I just needed enough. My true goal was to identify the essential colors that would best serve my botanical paintings and to limit myself to under 20 colors. After much careful deliberation, I first selected about 17 colors, but I didn't stop there. I kept refining, questioning, and paring down until I arrived at a final palette of just 13 essential colors, the ones that felt just right. There they were, the colors that would tell my story: soft yellows, calm greens, delicate pinks, gorgeous reds, and serene blues. These weren't just random choices, they were the colors that felt like me. Now, you might be wondering why 13? Lately, I've been traveling a lot and relying solely on paint tubes started to feel clunky and impractical. I needed something more portable, lightweight, and easy to carry without sacrificing the joy of painting. That's when I discovered the Holbein metal palette, a beautiful compact case with exactly 13 empty wells. Something about it immediately felt intentional. 13, not too many, not too few, just enough. It felt like a clean start, a boundary that wouldn't restrict me, but gently guide me, offering both structure and freedom. It invited a more thoughtful, deliberate approach and a sense of clarity within limitation. Choosing to fill those 13 wells felt like setting a quiet, firm intention, a promise to move forward with more clarity, more purpose, and a little more lightness in my creative journey. When I first arranged the palette, I separated the warm and cool tones, a simple step to help avoid muddy or dull mixes. As I researched different botanical palettes, I came across countless combinations and personal favorites. It made me realize every botanical artist has their own unique set of colors, their own way of seeing and interpreting nature. I find it endlessly fascinating to see the pigments different artists choose. I'm sure you have your favorite colors too. I'd love to hear what pigments or shades have become staple in your palette. Please share them with me in the comments below. For now, I'll let you enjoy the satisfying process of watching these wells get filled, and I'll meet you in the next section. I allowed the paints to dry and set overnight. Now let's swatch them and I'll share a little bit about my reasons for choosing each. The first color in my palette is PR209, a beautiful, bold, cool toned red. Next is PR255, a warm, vibrant tomato red that just glows on the page. Reds are always tricky to get right. Often the color you see when the paint is wet looks entirely different once it dries. But these two pigments have very minimal post-drying shifts, which makes them incredibly reliable and essential for my palette. The next color is PV19, a gorgeous pigment I truly consider irreplaceable in my palette. I must admit though, when I was setting up the palette, I placed it here, but I feel it would make much more sense near the violets and blues, not with reds. So eventually, I will definitely move PV19 closer to the violets where it naturally belongs. For now, it stays here. Following that is PR122, another absolute favorite of mine, a true vibrant process magenta. Then comes the yellows. I chose a cool yellow, a cadmium free lemon, fresh, bright, and perfect for capturing light filled botanical highlights. Then a warm yellow, Hansa Yellow Medium, one of the few colors I specifically purchased in the tube form for this palette. I had a liquid version of this earlier, but it wasn't suitable for this setup. After that, there's yellow ochre, an earthy, muted yellow that grounds the palette and brings a sense of natural warmth to florals and foliage tones. Then we move to greens, two convenience colors that I absolutely love. First, my go to sap green, lively and versatile. And second, oxide of chromium. It's a very beautiful, deeper, more muted green and mixes to create very complex foliage colors. Next are the blues. PB29, a classic warm ultramarine blue, rich and granulating, perfect for layering and creating atmospheric washes. And then a cool blue, PB15 is to 3, my choice for painting blue skies and adding delicate soft shadows to white flowers with a hint of blue violet undertones. It's a very beautiful color. After the blues, I have one more convenience color, PV23, a beautiful pink toned violet that adds a touch of magic to florals and deep shadows. And finally, the last color is sepia. I was torn between sepia and raw umber. For now, I've chosen sepia, a rich, earthy neutral that I can use to mute other colors or create beautiful natural darks without losing the freshness of this palette. And that's it, my 13 go-to colors for botanical paintings. You might have noticed that I chose mostly single pigment colors, pure, vibrant, and clean. I wanted each hue to be strong and beautiful on its own, but also to mix effortlessly with others. For instance, this magenta blends beautifully with yellows to create warm golden oranges. And as I suspected, the PV19 mixed with red creates a muted pink violet, reaffirming my plan to eventually move it next to the violets and blues. Mixing colors has always been a deep passion of mine, so much so that I even wrote a book on this subject. If you struggle with color mixing or creating your own palettes, I truly believe this book will help you. It's designed to guide you in deepening your understanding of color mixing and theory, refining your skills, and enriching your creative practice. I've poured everything I know into these pages. Towards the end of the book, you'll also find step by step floral projects that help you apply your color mixing skills into beautiful floral compositions. There's something magical about mixing colors, the way they interact, the way they come together to create something entirely new. It feels like a quiet kind of alchemy. I often find myself lost in those moments, blending familiar hues only to be surprised by the new life they take on. In my humble opinion, paintings are nothing less than conversation between colors, a dialogue unfolding across the paper, vibrant, fluid, and full of feeling. I wanted to put this new palette to the test. Though I chose a simple floral piece, I was genuinely thrilled with the result. The reds turned out vibrant and bright, just the way I love them. The color mixes felt clean, luminous, and full of life. And when I needed to gently mute a hue, a touch of sepia did the job beautifully. Working with a smaller palette didn't feel limiting, it made the experience more focused, more intentional. There was no second guessing, no getting lost in endless options. I simply created, and in doing so, I felt a deeper connection to my work, to the colors, and the quiet joy of painting itself. Watching the paints mingle on paper was a soft reminder of why I fell in love with watercolors in the first place. It's not a fixed medium, it flows, it shifts, it adapts, and that's exactly what I wanted from this palette, to flow with me, to evolve alongside whatever the moment called for. This palette, these 13 colors, is about more than reducing choices. It's about creating with clarity and intention. It's about a commitment to a more mindful practice. Every brushstroke, every decision, big or small, carries meaning, and in choosing less, I found more focus, more connection, and more joy. This piece came together so naturally. The colors, though few, felt like they were singing in harmony. There was a simplicity to the process that felt deeply freeing, not restrictive but expansive. When I first began narrowing down my colors, I admit I was skeptical. But to my surprise, working with smaller curated palette didn't make the experience any less rich. If anything, it made it even more expansive. But this palette isn't a final destination. It's not about finding a perfect set of colors and staying there forever. Just like my practice, my needs will shift and grow, colors will come and go. Some will stay with me for years, others may only walk alongside me for a season. And that's exactly as it should be. I'm sharing this story because I believe there is a quiet lesson in simplicity. We often think more options will make us better, but what I've found is that fewer, more intentional choices open up more space for creativity, for clarity, and for growth. I'd love to hear your thoughts. How do you simplify your own creative practice? What helps you find clarity when you're feeling overwhelmed by choices? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to connect with you. Thank you for walking this journey with me. Until next time, I'll see you in the next one.